Hi there, Aaron Dunn here from the SMSF Academy, and welcome to our April 2017 update, where we share with you what's been happening around the SMSF Academy and I guess more broadly the SMSF industry. So in this month, we're looking at some of the latest news, so some important announcements about the release of final regulations. We've also seen some recent minor and technical amendments that are coming about, and we continue to see the ATO as regulator finalise a range of their law companion guidelines. In terms of our new updates and updated features, we have included here a range of important improvements to the ordering process and what you can do, in addition to some real exciting work that we're working on at the moment around building out some CGT Relief tools for you to analyse your SMSF clients. We continue to build out our SMSF documents, currently in excess of 35 documents around legal, pension and compliance. And importantly here, we now have the ability for you to do those trust deed updates. So we'll explain that and finish off with some information about our upcoming events and some exciting news following our SMSF days around the launch of our online course. So in terms of our latest news, the two ones that I wanted to focus on predominantly here, which I see as being most important, is in the bottom one, the finalisation of Law Companion Guideline 2016-8 relating to the CGT Relief for self-managed funds or superannuation funds in general. We will arguably see the regulator provide some additional updates to this again, because we have seen, as part of a range of minor and technical amendments, so a bill before Parliament or as an exposure draft at the moment, some changes that will also incorporate segregated transition to retirement income streams that will continue on rather than having to roll back as part of the new measures from the 1st of July. So be aware that all of the 2016 Law Companion Guidelines, when we look at transfer balance cap, we also look at total superannuation balance, some additional rulings there around defined benefits and constitutionally protected funds. All of those have now been finalised from the 2016 release. We have the 2017 Law Companion Guidelines. Predominantly here, the most important one that I see is around death benefits. It is still in draft, and we as yet don't have any indication as to when that will be finalised. There was an expectation by the end of April, but we are still waiting at this stage. There are some critically important things you need to be aware of with death benefits against the transfer balance cap, not only in respect to income streams that are paid as a result of someone's death post 1 July 2017, but quite clearly steps that need to be taken in this financial year for pre-existing pensions that are either as a result of a death benefit or where they are auto reversionary as well. And we'll be covering that topic in some detail in our May 2017 webinar. So let's now move on to our campus new features, and we've got some exciting things in here. The first one is around our data flows. So this will allow you to push data across multiple forms as a workflow. So focusing on building out efficiency in the way in which you do your work. A feature request that we've had from members is the ability for you to be able to push orders, completed orders, back to saved. If you need to redo that, you may find that you've had a typing error or something, you haven't had the information that you may have originally had, so that reset order will now allow you to push that order back to saved where that potentially that mistake has been made. The other thing which is in progress, which we'll show you, is our CGT Relief tool. And this is going to be really powerful. We're hoping to get some integration here with both Class and BGO as well. But the ability here for you to analyze your SMSFs for relief, so a decision tree to help you work out whether the segregated or the proportionate method will apply, including helping you to calculate the optimal outcome for current year versus deferred capital gains, and really working through those mixes where the proportional method is adopted. So let's move in and just have a look at a couple of these key things here. So when we go to our documents, you'll see under our new fund information, is probably the best example. We've done this also for a range of documents, including our pension rollbacks is probably another good one. But as we go through our fund establishment process, what you'll see when we put in all of our member and fund information to actually order, it will enable us. So if I just quickly go through and add a sample fund here. So we have sample SMSF. We have recently also added the ability to apply for cure-up status. So you can now select that with the updated governing rules, both for a new fund and also for a trust deed upgrade. So if we then go into here and we put in our address, select our meeting, select our number of members, add our 2 members here. So we'll have John and Jane Smith. And then Jane. Put in her details. And we'll say that there's individual trustees here to obviously just speed this process up. Now, when we do that order for the new fund, the workflow will now ask you as to whether you want to do any of the other following documents. So you now will be able to use the doc data from that to then create the investment strategy, which is currently, we're still working through that, but it is available in beta, to be able to create the death benefit nominations for the members that you've chosen. And if you need to do some form of certificate of complying status, again, you can do that as well. And any other documents that are deemed necessary, we'll be able to add those in based upon member requests. So when we submit that information, not only will it then order the new fund, but it will create saved orders for these documents for us to then go and review. So when we move into our saved orders area, you will be able to then go in and look at the additional documents that have been generated in here. So you can see one down here that we've done some time ago, the investment strategy. You can then simply pick that up and then carry on the actual order itself. So it is a substantial improvement for you to be far more efficient in that workflow. And like I said, it can be done for pension rollbacks as part of a TRIS where you're rebooting that pension each year. We'll be doing it through a range of the super reform documents as well. In particular, when we think about rolling back to comply with the transfer balance cap, we may also be looking at CGT relief and a range of other matters as well. So again, if you think of any sort of ways in which that data flow could work, more than happy to pass on that feedback to us, and then we can look to further implement into these. We'll also be rolling it out in respect to LRBAs and I guess using that data from a new fund and a company into the LRBA itself and the bare trustee as well. So again, there's plenty of ways in which that data flow can enable us to be far more efficient in the documentation that we're preparing. And if you think about how we take that from the actual from your software, if you have a class or BGL integration, it is again going to make a substantial difference. So the other thing that I mentioned before on the slides here is this ability to reset the order. So what you can see here is now if we look at our adding an account-based pension here as a special rule, or this one here as a deed upgrade, we can now simply reset that document. So if we look at it as sample SMSF, if I reset that document, you'll see that that has now disappeared. And when we go into our saved orders, so 7067, and we should be able to go into here and find our sample SMSF. So this will be the one here, 7067. We can simply pick that up again, resume, make the necessary change that was required, and then resubmit that ourselves. You will see as well now where you have companies that have been ordered through the campus system. If it is a company there, you will be able to choose yes, and it will go into the database and look for that company. So it is again picking up all the relevant information, saving you time again in that ordering process. And the final one here that I wanted to talk about is around the CGT Relief. So this is currently a work in progress, but it is quite exciting because we are enabling you to be able to go through and really work out how you might look at applying relief to any number of assets in the fund. But what it is really a decision tree in the first instance. So going through and saying we need to reduce by virtue of the cap, the methodology that we may be claiming for tax exemption, and then working through each of these questions that'll tell us whether on what basis we have actually qualified post or for this year, and then potentially subject to the methodology. If we're looking at segregation, for example, we might whether we can actually do that into the future or not because of the disregarded small fund assets definition. So this will help you map out the decision tree process to make sure you're heading down the right track. There are some nuances and complexities around the application of Section 294 when we look at 110 and 115 in the income tax transitional provisions. So this tool will be of substantial benefit for people to use, and then it will be taking you through. Once that assessment has been done on the method, you can then look at incorporating some of this information into this calculator to then work out the most optimal position. So at the moment you'll have this table would appear for the proportionate method, this one will appear for the segregated method. You can then look at the amounts and the exempt percentage and stuff that will be included to help calculate the most optimal outcome, because you may have losses and gains, prior year losses, and that figure in terms of potentially deferring may be best to be mapping out in this year. And as you work through these, you can then calculate that amount to be deferred, and it will take off and adjust the ability for losses and prior year both and current year losses to be applied as well, which is one of the key criteria to this. So this again is very much a work in progress. In our next update, we will hopefully provide you with a little bit more information into that, but it is a really exciting initiative that we've put together as part of our reform tools for our SMSF Academy members. So let's now move on to our updated documents and SMSF content. So we have, of course, now finalized the changes in respect to the SMSF trust deed and PDS. We are now having many of our members go through and update trust deeds with their clients, because we have now incorporated many of those requirements around the reforms when we look at the transfer balance cap and the different ways in which we need to account for complying with both contributions and also retirement phase benefits. So if you are looking to that deed upgrade, you can now put that in play. For those that may be at a lower level of membership at the moment, you can get in contact with us and not only access a trial to look at the benefits of the high memberships, but we do have some very attractive membership offers available as part of this trust deed process. So you can book in an appointment with me or one of my team to actually go through what that offer would look like as well. As part of that deed upgrade process, we have now made a change to our death benefit nominations, both standard and binding, without requiring an acceptance process in terms of the death benefit nomination. So we have removed that trustee minute in respect to needing that to occur and made that a far more streamlined process. We've also then made changes to the pension documentation. In the first instance, we've updated the product disclosure statement around the transfer balance cap and so forth. We are also adding a range of additional information into that shortly around the reporting to the transfer balance cap, and also whether that is to become what's called a paramount document. Again, we'll talk about that concept a little bit more in our May 2017 webinar. We also talked about it in our trust deed update webinar. If you didn't see that, it is available within the campus membership area as well. We are currently working on the ability to add account-based pensions as a special rule of the fund. We see many of our members looking to upgrade their deeds to our current trust deed. So the ability to have a pre-existing pension added as a special rule, because that is the default position that we take with the SMSF Academy documentation to ensure that it is a special rule of the fund. So you can see here what this will allow us to do is to generate a document quite simple in its application, but critically important, whereby the member is in receipt of the pension as a result of the upgrade, wants the terms and conditions of that income stream to become a special rule of the fund, and then you can state there whether it's to become a paramount document or not. That's then obviously confirmed around that process, and then provides the powers under the rules and conditions of that income stream and the deed to make changes at any point in time in the future. So that document is in beta at the moment. We've got some of our members going through and trialing that. That information again will be ready in the near future. We have over the past little bit also been adding in some basic compliance documents, so contribution splitting, our audit confirmation of benefits paid is there as well. So again, just what I would call quick win documents for those doing the annual compliance requirements. And we are finalizing some of our next round of marketing documents, which at the moment the next one is operation of the transfer balance cap. When we look at our upcoming documents, we are looking at a whole suite of reform, what I would call reform ready documents. So we are in the process of building out our CGT Relief documents. We are and have those fairly advanced at the moment. Compliance with the transfer balance cap, so partial commutations, in particular the initial requirements that need to be done before the 30th of June. Rollbacks of truces and much more. So again, we'll be providing a lot of that information in our regular updates each and every month right through to the end of this year. So finally, from an event point of view, our May 2017 webinar is on the topic of super reforms dealing with death benefits. So it is at 12 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, so look out for that session. But more importantly, we've just successfully completed our SMSF Day events around Australia, and we will be moving this into an online course. It is very popular as a way to give access to you to our SMSF, intensive workshop training. We will be breaking this out initially into a 3-week program. So you'll have the choice to do it at your own pace, or alternatively, you can follow our structured learning program where we'll be drip feeding the release of the 5 modules. And to help complement those 5 modules, we will also be running some live Q&A webinars after each of those weeks, because there are case studies to be completed as well. And access, so therefore you'll then get access to those case study answers with me in those 45-minute webinars, and the ability to ask any questions on the specific topics. So we will be providing a bit more information in this final week of April to launch that SMSF Day online course. It will be priced at $397. There will be some opportunities for discounts on that. It is available for our SMSF Academy members and in terms of our bronze, silver and gold members. So that will be accessible. There will be some partner discounts that we will have off that. So if you want to find out any more, please just keep an eye out for those emails, or you can visit our SMSF Day site as well. So that's pretty much it. If you want to find out any more about our campus platform, the ongoing development, you can always get in contact with us. If you haven't had a look at our membership system or at a higher level to what your membership currently is, we can provide you with a 14-day trial to find out many of those benefits. And like I said, at the moment we have quite a large number of people looking at that, in particular in the context of the trust deed. So if you do have that inquiry, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you, and I look forward to giving you our update again in a month's time. Cheers.